Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
My dear friend Jimmy Flowers sent me some information from the Village's Senior Florida newspaper, and I about rolled on the floor. Here were some of the advertisements in that newspaper, The Village's. The headline of this ad, Serenity Now. I am into solitude, long walks, sunrises, the ocean, yoga, and meditation. If you are the silent type, let's get together. Take our hearing aids out and enjoy quiet times. And here is my all-time favorite. Headline, Mint Condition. Male, 1932 model. High mileage. Good condition. Some hair left. Many new parts, including hip, knee, cornea, and valves. Isn't in running condition, but walks well. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I love Kate Smith. Thank you very much. God Bless America on a cloudy, kind of an overcast Wednesday, November the 6th. And good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, making sure that you're prepared for wintertime driving. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them 734-6969. And now, the raven-haired beauty, and known as Miss Peacock 2013. Hello, Gina Jameson.
Good morning, sir, and high mileage.
Yeah, listen, I got to read you one more. Can I please?
Go, please.
I got to tell you. What do you mean you're calling me high mileage? Listen to this one. This is a killer. Foxy lady, sexy, fashion conscious, blue-haired beauty. In the 80s, slim, 5'4", used to be 5'6", searching for sharp-looking, sharp-dressing companion with matching white shoes and white belt.
Oh, that's going to be us when we get old.
What you mean when we get old, sweetheart? Yeah.
I can hear you.
Anyhow, good morning to you. How are you?
Doing well. I'm not really digging on the showers and stuff, but I do see some sky out there without clouds.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah, it's over Nevada. Anyway, good morning to everybody, and do we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Michael Rogers on for the pledge and for the weather.
I just talked to him in my home.
You did?
Yes, he was just here in the person.
Well, you're lucky. I never get to see the man.
Well, I just shows who pays the checks.
I guess.
Good morning, Michael, with the pledge, please.
Morning, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 43 degrees in beautiful downtown Murtaugh along the South Hills. It's an anniversary for Zeb Bell and I. It was 5 years ago today I first did the weather forecast on Zip of the Ranch.
That's right.
He didn't know that. I've been holding on to that for about the last week. But we celebrate the anniversary with the same weather we had 5 years ago. We got an area of low pressure just fizzling out, which is why you can see a little bit of a clearing to the north and a little bit of a clearing to the south. And weather pattern for today, we're going to start to warm up. Now, we're not going to get into the 60s or the 70s, but we're going to warm up better than what we had for the last 48 hours. So look, we're high today of around 54, 55 tomorrow. It'll be sunny clouds today, but it'll be a lot more clouds than sun. As we work way towards the weekend, that warm weather is going to be with us. So the cooler than normal temperatures we had over the last 48 hours is done. Tomorrow, the clouds will be done. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got. And after 5 years there, Bell, it's been a pleasure doing the weather for you from one side of the country to the other, including Green Bay, Alaska, where I give you your weather forecast in 2011.
And Michael, I want to say thank you for all that you've done for our program to just heighten it to a level of absolutely the best. And thank you very much. Also, I want to say this real quickly because I've got to get a commercial break in. But Michael's picture and story is featured on the front cover of Idaho Magazine. Check it out, folks. It's a story about his photography called From Where I Sit, a magic view of the Magic Valley. And his cover picture is the headliner for Idaho Magazine. Michael, congratulations, buddy. Come out and talk about it real fast in the near future.
Well, that is the July cover, and the cover was a surprise. I was asked to submit photographs, and then I was in Los Angeles, and I got a call from the editor, and she goes, the cover of Buell, Idaho that you took is going to be on the cover of our magazine. And I just went, and wow. And she goes, welcome to the big time, kid. That is a big time first. And later on, I hope you and I can take a segment and I can really get into it because you, from the beginning, knew where all this started. And this is where I ended up as we get here today. But thank you very much for the plug. And it is the July 2013 edition Idaho Magazine. There you go. Michael,
God bless you. Talk to you later, buddy, and I'm very proud of you. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's Purina Days at Valleywide Home and Ranch in Rupert, and that means great deals on the horse and poultry feeds, and, it's your chance to come in and just find out about premium quality feed. There is nothing more needed for livestock in the wintertime to have the best in feeds so that with the cold, they're trying to keep warm, all the protein levels and everything. You want to make sure that they're getting the best feed to make it through the winter in good shape. So check it out. All the Purina feeds right there at Valleywide Home and Ranch. 910 South Oneida in Rupert. These folks really care about everything from your clothing to your boots to the feed to the tack. You name it, it's there. Valleywide Home and Ranch. For the home, the ranch, and the family, Valleywide Home and Ranch. Nice people over there in Rupert. Also, real fast, I want to say thank you to Rain for Rent at 134 South, 600 West Highway 27 in Paul. Number to call, 438-5065. And they, of course, have the best of Ranke pivot sales and service and all the great Ranke rebates for this fall. They've got the top sales professionals working there that can really serve you, answer your questions, take care of your irrigation needs. Frank Jensen, Skip Hilton, Brooks West, they know. They know what they're talking about. Give them a call, 438-5065. Rain for Rent over in Paul. Really good folks. Well, some big news in the elections last night, and a little bit later on this morning at exactly 9:46, we are going to have the new mayor of Burley, Idaho on our program, and that's Mr. Merlin Smedley. I had a chance, and it was really a quick call. I apologize to Mr. Smedley because I was just about ready to sign on to this program this morning, and I hadn't been able to catch him earlier, and finally caught him just as I was dialing the number for the station. And he is going to be the new mayor of Burley, and we're going to talk to him at 9:45 this morning. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Those things that Jimmy Flowers sent you, they're very interesting. But have you ever heard of the expression, rode hard and put away wet?
So many times, and many times those comments were directed at me.
And, I think this is just my thoughts on it, but I think women are judged more harshly than men are, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do. I think it's very unfair that society always judges women on their looks as they have a tendency to grow old, and our bodies have a tendency to look in the mirror and say to themselves, I'm not going to do it. I can't hold it up anymore. And I think women are judged unfairly.
Well, like being in the auto industry, you'd say she's got a lot more miles than it shows on her odometer.
You know something? You're in an area there, Keith, where I'm not going to participate in your conversation because, see, my wife is out in the other room. I don't know where Nancy is, but you are a brave man, but you're also a foolish man for bringing this up in this fashion.
Well, I got to admit that's true. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that expression has been used mainly in my industry,
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that you were
talking about, specifically women, but anyway, how the hell did I get in this hole? Anyway?
I don't know, but you've got the shovel, and believe me, you're working hard, making a daily wage, and I'm going to let you keep on digging. Thanks, Keith.
Anyway, it's going to be a lovely day.
I hope so in your case, because we might read about you in the obituary column.
Yeah, I want to congratulate those winners of the Burley election.
Yes.
Even though I didn't get a chance to participate because I don't live within the confines of Burley.
Yeah, I just think that there's room for judgment on that, and be that as it may, I'm not going to pass judgment. I don't think it's up to me to pass an opinion on a situation that I don't have any control and or power to be a part of. But I will say this, landowners and anything that affects somebody in the town as a business owner, etc., I still think that you need to have a voice. I got to run and do a commercial break, but thank you very much, Keith. God bless.
Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Ask Merlin that, what
I will.
his thoughts are on it?
If I have a chance this morning, I will, and we're going to have him on at 9:45, as a matter of fact, so thank you very much.
Okay.
You bet.
You have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. They opened the doors at 7:30 in the morning and said, come on in, world. Now, a lot of you folks haven't paid attention to what I've told you. I told you that it's going to get chillier day by day by day, and those furnaces are going to be working double time, overtime to keep you warm. So change the air filters in your furnace. Get it done now. They have got a great, great deal on furnace filters over there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Buy the good ones, not the cheap ones. Buy them by the box and you can save 10%. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where, of course, they provide warm winters and cool summers. All right, here we go. And I'm starting this segment off this morning with a note of sadness, and I mean this. As you know, this program has been very dedicated to trying to bring home Pastor Saeed Abedini, Boise minister, a great Christian man over in Iran that was absolutely thrown in prison for doing nothing more than trying to serve his fellow man and start an orphanage over in his home country. And we have been praying. We've been having many, many segments on this program over the last couple of months, trying to move the public to get involved and move the politicians to get involved and even move the president to get involved in trying to get Pastor Saeed Abedini home. Some very unfortunate news last night that it just kind of took the wind right out of my sails when I heard this. He has been moved to a prison that is even worse in personality and structure. It is a prison in Iran where they send murderers basically to death. It's a prison of death. And now his situation over in Iran is so much more bleak. And I thought to myself last night as I was thinking about what to say and how to say it about Saeed Abedini this morning, is that just for a moment, close your eyes and think about how you would be in a filthy, rat-infested cell in a foreign country with nothing but murderers and vicious people around you 24/7, and put yourself in that cell with the fear and the wondering of why. Why at home his wife and his children are suffering, waiting for him to return, and he may not. Does anybody really care? I can't imagine how lonely and filled with despair this man is. And he's in prison with murderers and the lowest vermin of life for doing nothing more than trying to serve children in the establishment of an orphanage. And then I sit here and I ask myself, what is this world coming to? Where a man, a good man, a Christian man, Pastor Saeed Abedini, suffering unneedlessly, just absolutely needlessly, for something that was absolutely a Christian way to do his lifestyle. It just sickens me. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just hope and pray that that man will be released. I just hope and pray that politics, and very powerful politics, will somehow drive a stake into the heart of the Iranian government and let them know time is of essence to get this man released from prison. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls, 736-2490, the number to call. Now, you as a customer always have the choice on where to take your car when there's been an accident, a fender bender, whatever. And I'll tell you, the insurance company cannot dictate to you where to take your car for a repair, so I'm going to suggest the best. And they did some work for me. They are the best. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Again, that number, 736-2490. 736-2490. You call them today and tell them Zeb sent you. You will be very happy with the service, I guarantee you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, I feel good and bad at the same time this morning. And here's the good. Here's the good that I feel. I prognosticated, and I'm no smarter than anybody else, but I just looked at the numbers, I looked at the problems, I looked at the scandals, and I told you months and months ago at midsummer that with all of these scandals and this absolutely detestable government administration that we have now with Obama, that at that time when I said it, he was at 46% approval rating, and I told you back in August that I would make a bet with anybody that before November 30th, this man would sink into the 30s. He has. Barack Hussein Obama approval rating has slumped now to his worst and one of the nation's worst ever, 39%, and it is falling, and I anticipate that with the next polls, the Gallup polls, and all the other polls that are administered to check out his approval rating, I am going to make another prognostication that before December 15th, unless there is something earth-shattering that happens to cloud the Obamacare issue and cloud all the other scandals, and you know sometimes they're perpetrated as such, I believe that Barack Obama will be down to a low of all time of 35 or 34% and possibly lower in approval rating for a government administration that is pathetic. He deserves much less than 39%. But at the same time, I enjoy seeing him fall like a rock because I don't like or even have any inkling to like his administration and his ideology. His poor leadership is hurting way too many people. It's hurting America. Last evening, a man that I highly respect, Dr. Ben Carson, was on television, and he said, under Obama, this is not America anymore as it should be. How true is that? And the words liar, deceiver, falsifier, fabricator, these are all words that are being used now about the President of the United States because they're true. He is a liar and a fabricator. They have taken statements and changed them to their own benefit, or such, over the last couple of days because they realized Obamacare is absolutely a destructive joke. He told you for months and months, and actually years, that your insurance would absolutely be staying in effect, no matter what, period. That your doctor would be staying there serving you, no matter what, period. And he lied. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. If some people are still wondering what kind of a hell that Obama's leading into, I'll give you one quote from Obama himself. He says that he is a Muslim and that the greatest sound on earth is the Muslim prayer. How's that?
I question this man's integrity, I question this man's honesty, I question this man's ideology, and I question this man's religious background. I have so many questions about Barack Hussein Obama that I can't sit here on a radio program and be like Bill O'Reilly, very wishy-washy, and quite frankly, I don't have any respect for Bill O'Reilly. I have to sit here and look at things and perceive things as they are by all the literature and the books that I've read, all the things that I've had a chance to really peruse over the last couple of years. I don't trust this man. I think that he is going to be in the history annals of our presidents the worst that ever sat in the Oval Office.
Well, there's something you can bring up on a computer that's a real eye-opener, and it is Barack Hussein, Obama, and the Muslim Brotherhood and what his connections are, and it's a real eye-opener.
I know. There's so many things that are unanswered questions, and I'm not into speculation. I'm into only hardcore fact, and I look at hardcore facts as to what he's done, what he represents, what he has been in his life, and what he's trying to do through his administration, and I can't say that you are wrong, my friend.
Well, he's trying to bring us down to Muslimism all over the country, and we've got a lot of those people right in the White House now in key positions.
Yeah, I agree. Tony, always appreciate hearing from you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The spin, the lies, and the cheating, and the extorting of the truth, and how many of you, please, somebody call me right after this break at the bottom of the hour. Somebody call me and tell me that they saw the interview yesterday on television with Press Secretary Jay Carney and one of the Fox News reporters. Carney looked like a deer caught in the headlights, and he was already stuck in the truck grill. This guy looked so scared. He was so discombobulated. He had no answers in a sensible fashion. I listened to ABC News, I listened to CNN, and I listened to NBC News to just get a comparison of reports about Jay Carney, and they all said he was just a babbling brook. He had no sense to his statements. That's what Obamacare is doing. It's no sense and has no sense. But it's costing us, the taxpayers, billions of dollars. And it's also costing God-fearing Americans their insurance coverage and their futures. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn, right there at Jim McCall's farm. The number to call, 438-8730. They got the pink bubble ropes. Yep, they got them in. The bubble ropes came in. Check it out. Don't forget, in commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you very much. And also in stock, and Jim said they've got plowshares all over the place. Here a plowshare, there a plowshare, everywhere a plowshare, and they're going to let them go at cost. So stop in, check out all the air filters they can clean for you, the grease guns, the grease, everything, and the bubble ropes at Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn, 438-8730. It is time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling. And here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Members of the Farm Bill Conference Committee are being urged to support two initiatives that could significantly benefit the nation's post-crop industry. The Pulse Health Initiative would provide up to $125 million over 5 years for research into the health and nutritional benefits of pulse crops, as well as ways to grow them more efficiently. Another 5-year pilot project would promote the use of pulse crops, chickpeas, lentils, dry peas, and dry beans in the U.S. Department of Agriculture's nutrition programs. The Palouse region, that encompasses parts of eastern Washington and northern Idaho, is one of the primary growing locations for pulse crops in the United States. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brous.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, thank you very much. Capital Press Ag Minute brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. And we just found out that they're going to have a canned food drive for the month of November, where you can bring in 2 cans of food and receive 10 cents more per pound and $20 per ton for iron and tin. Yes, sir. And all the proceeds go to the Helping Hands. Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about the company CGI? This is the company, this is such a kind of a spider web of behind the scenes, under the table, through the closet, out the back door activity that's going on in Washington, D.C. CGI, is headed up by a former very dear friend of Michelle Obama's. Yeah, you know all about that. We talked about it the other day. Well, CGI has made a mess, a total disaster out of Obamacare on the website. Oh, they just absolutely didn't know their left hand from their right foot. Well, did you know that while all this is going on with the implementation of Obamacare and the people trying to start signing up on October 1st and the total devastation and disaster that it was with CGI, they were given 5 more contracts, 5 more government contracts. I mean, here's a company that is absolutely incompetent at doing what they were hired to do, and they're given 5 more government contracts instead of getting the door and the doorknob in a certain place as they were thrown out. They were given 5 more contracts. This is totally ridiculous. And then this morning, I got to stay with Obamacare for a minute. Then this morning, and this is not a blonde joke, even though she is a blonde, and I don't think she's the brightest light bulb in the fixture, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, by herself, came out, and I don't know if you saw the news clip or not, but she goes on television and she blamed the GOP. She was waggling her finger and she was making gyrations about how dangerous the GOP was for the sign-up problems related to Obamacare. And she blamed them for the insurance coverage drops. I would suggest that Debbie Wasserman Schultz just kind of sit down in a cool, shady spot, take a couple of aspirin, and wait for the medics to arrive. She definitely needs a lot of help. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436. We got a whole bunch of issues to talk about, so give me a jingle on the landline. And as you may or may not have heard, the voting was such that the old mayor has been given the gate, and a new mayor of Burley is going to come on in, and that happens to be Merlin Smedley. And we're going to be talking to Mr. Smedley at 9:45 this morning, right after our Scows CarQuest show, and we'll have him on the air. So we'd like to have you folks, if you have any questions or anything, just give us a call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. The Times News did it again. I mean, we secularize our country to the point where God will not be mocked, and we're going to see, this liberal agenda of taking God out of our country in all of our public institutions, prayer, and so forth. It all began in 1947 with the FDR-packed Supreme Court, but the Earl Warren Court in 62, of course, took prayer, and 63 took prayer and Bible reading out of schools, and now they want to finish the job by making sure that nobody prays to begin any kind of a public meeting or anything like that. So the atheist, which is a religion, they will have won. So
yeah. Let me
religion we have.
Let me jump in here. You're talking about the opinion editorial on the Times News op-ed page this morning, and the head of the storyline was "Separation of Church and State Protects Religious Liberty." I don't look at it that way at all. I'm just going to state my case on this morning. I think that I'm glad you brought this up because I see every day, because of the job that I have, in looking at, perusing, and studying the news, I see every day the hatred that the liberalized society has against organized Christianity and what they're trying to do to stop it. There was one sentence in that op-ed piece this morning that really bothered me, and maybe other people it wouldn't be as bothersome to them. It said, quote, those in attendance, as they were talking about Greece, New York, and their meeting, those in attendance were asked to bow their heads as a local minister or board member asked a Christian God for guidance and support. Right there, asked a Christian God for guidance and support. That was a denigration to the Lord, and that was a denigration to my thoughts and prayers and my religion, because it was almost like he was asking a figurehead, asking something that is not real, asking something like a doll or whatever. I took great offense at that statement.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, absolutely. When I read the thing, and my blood pressure started to raise pretty fast. But I've written several studies, letters on this subject over the years, and studied it very extensively. Our founding fathers, even in this, when they had the new states were coming in to the U.S., they wanted religion, morality, and knowledge to be taught in our schools. That was their wish. We don't study history. We don't learn from history. Our founding fathers had that collection of 100-plus men had more knowledge than all of the people since that time, really, as far as understanding how the government should be run and the rights and inalienable rights for our people. But since since that 1962 decision, we've had 50 years of increasing, moral decline, which has sharply moved, including more sexually transmitted diseases, teen pregnancies, unwed mothers, violent crime, voluntary abortions, illegal drug abuse. You name the crime, name the bad thing in society, and people can look at wallbuilders.com or .org, I'm not sure which is, but wallbuilders.org, and they get a DVD called Our Godly Heritage. It lays it all straight in 1 hour presentation.
I agree. I've got to do a commercial break here, Adrian, but I certainly appreciate you bringing this up because I said yesterday, and I'm going to maintain this. I am not going to change my modus operandi at my Zeb's Lunch Bunch. I'm going to get up and we are going to give the prayer. We are going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are going to sing the national anthem. And all the words under God, etc., will be said, and our prayer will be said loudly. If anybody doesn't like it, they can come see me.
There you go.
All right, Adrian.
Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Stand fast for God and our Christian heritage.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to weaken on this. I have made this remark on the air before, and I'm going to say it again. You out there in Radio Land, of very minimal numbers, so basically to me you don't count, have called and criticized me and written letters and emails that have said, we don't appreciate the fact that when a caller calls in or hangs up, you say, God bless, have a good day. Well, to you I say, God bless and have a good day, because I'm not going to change what I'm saying. I'm not going to change and distort and minimize my views. I'm not going to minimize my opinion. And I'm certainly not going to minimize my faith. So, God bless and have a good day. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. At Ramsey Heating and Electric, they sell warm winters and cool summers. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Today, guess who's back testifying in front of the Senate? Yep, here she comes again. HHS head Kathleen Sebelius. And she's had, about 10 days, 2 weeks to practice and sit there and be drilled on what to say, what not to say, what answers to give with a, gee, I don't know. Oh, golly, I don't recall. And it's going to be interesting because I know a lot of the senators that were interviewed yesterday and then again this morning, Harkins, many of them, Democrats and Republicans, they want answers. And I think this is going to be good TV watching. And Kathleen Sebelius, I think, is a very incompetent woman for this job. She's proved that. I think she should be fired. I think the underlings that were as fingers in the pie trying to establish Obamacare should be fired. There needs to be a clean sweep and a clean house. Are we going to see this? I don't think so. And I think they need to let her go to Kansas and play with the dog Toto because she's just not competent and not respected at all for her abilities or lack of with Obamacare. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Come on. Oh, and by the way, in other election news around the country yesterday, and you know me, I'm a proponent in not mandating big changes in minimum wages because I think minimum wage increases will do nothing more than knock off, defeat full-time labor. I think it's going to be devastating. Yesterday in New Jersey, they voted to increase the minimum wage to $8.25 per hour. And that is also going to be met yearly after this year with a cost of living increase. And this scares me. Because in the not very distant future, you're going to be seeing a part-time, nose-picking, pimple-faced burger flipper that is going to be making between $1,500 and $2,000 a month a minimum wage job. And inflation and the rest of society cannot keep up with that. It just can't do it. And I think that was devastating what happened in New Jersey yesterday. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's time for a weather update with my old buddy Michael Rogers. And it's brought to you by Quali's Electronics this hour, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Number to call, 733-4910. They've got a lot. And when I underline that word lot, I mean if you walked in the door at Quali's, the first thing you're going to notice is television. They're all over the place. They've got all the TVs in stock now. They have what you're looking for. They've got increased factory instant rebates right now on Sony and Samsung for their big anniversary sale. Where? Easy place to find Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road, Twin Falls. Here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Interesting weather pattern. We're pretty much done with the cooler than normal, where we were at temperatures in the 40s from yesterday and the day before. We look for clouds, and it's going to stay that way, pretty much finishing up a storm that's moving to our east. We're going to top out today to a high for about 54. How about that? Nice and comfortable fall weather for today. And it's going to continue to get warm as we work our way toward the weekend. Sun and clouds in the forecast. Winds are not going to be a problem today. So enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you this hour by Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Phone lines are open. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I want you to remind, now, we've got a few in already, but we need a bunch more. A bunch is a whole fistful of paragraphs. I want you to send me a short paragraph, email me what Thanksgiving means to you. What Thanksgiving means to you, and you possibly could win a Thanksgiving turkey. That's right, we're going to have drawings for 4 turkeys. Compliments of Zeb at the Ranch and Smith's Food King, along with Ramsey Heating and Electric, and our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch. We are going to be giving away 4 turkeys before Thanksgiving. All you have to do is send it to me, Zeb at the Ranch at hotmail.com. It's an easy email address. Zeb at the Ranch, all spelled out. Then the @ at hotmail.com. Easy. Get them to me right now, and we're going to pick out some of the best paragraphs, what Thanksgiving means to you. Send those to me. You might win a turkey. All right, now give us a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. My wife brought up a very interesting point yesterday about the Miami Dolphins bullying case. And I think it's a point that needs to be elaborated on. The NFL is being blamed for not overseeing a bullying case with the Miami Dolphins, and there's being a lot of fingers pointed at the management of the Miami Dolphins, and there's being a lot of people that are saying, see, bullying is also in professional sports, etc. And this poor guy that was bullied, this poor man that was bullied, 362-pound man bullied by another 353-pound man bullied. Oh, it's terrible. We've got to stop that sort of thing. Wait a minute. There's a fly in the milk here, and thanks to Deanne for reminding me of this. The fly in the milk is the fact that Mr. Martin, the young man with the Dolphins that claims he was bullied by Richie, and I all of a sudden forgot his name, last name. It just left me all of a sudden like a bolt from the blue. But anyway, the one that claims he's bullied, both of his parents, mom and dad, are lawyers. Oh, do you see where I'm headed on this? Yeah, both of his mom and his dad are lawyers. So here we have a top-ranked, not this year with their season, but I mean one of the top-ranked and classy teams in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins. A lot of money there. And here we have a lineman that felt like he was being picked on and bullied. And the whole thing stinks, as far as I'm concerned. Here's two guys big enough to knock over a 12-story building with their bare hands. And one claims he's being bullied. One claims that he has to leave the NFL because of another big man picking on him. Give me a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello again. I need to apologize to all of the women in this world.
I figured that was going to come sooner or later.
Well, they say it takes a bigger man to do it, but I'm doing it at arm's length.
Okay. All right.
About this Kathleen Sebelius, you know, if she was smart, Obama would dismiss her and put her in another cushy job where she makes plenty of money, and then she takes the fifth. She stands on the fifth. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, Keith, I'm surprised that this man, Obama, of course, a lot of things don't surprise me anymore about Obama and the way he runs or lacks running the government. But to keep her in front of the public is, she's a joke on Saturday Night Live. She is a total joke and disaster for all the late-night humor shows. She's not thought of as nothing more than a jocular talking head because they don't trust her. They don't think her remarks are honest. I think she's lost any and all credibility, as has her staff. Why keep her?
Well, I would say the same thing. She's baggage right now.
Yeah.
Heavy baggage.
Yeah. And I think there's others you could say that of in this administration. I'll give you, for instance, Eric Holder. There's another baggage right there, if you will, that needs to be replaced as Attorney General. I honestly think that many, many things from Fast and Furious and other things with some of the racially motivated stories and the way he's handled those, I think he needs to be replaced. But there again, they seem to be sheltered under this umbrella of Obama that the public doesn't pursue any of this stuff.
Yeah, and we talk about Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh, yeah.
I think the president and some of the others have told her, hey, I want you to lay low while we introduce this Obamacare. Because she really gets, she's a tiger. She'll go right for the throat every time. And this morning she was on TV and she was very docile, but she's still the same Wicked Witch of the North that she turned out to be.
Well, and you say that, the Wicked Witch and everything else, but basically I think her job is to be an attack dog. And I'm not saying anything derogatory right there when I say that, because an attack dog is the person in politics that goes out in front of the cameras and says a lot of frivolous and stupid things sometimes to bring to effect the problem. But in her case, she's not thinking. She's not saying anything of any substance or common sense because she's blaming the GOP for the sign-up problems, and she also blamed the GOP for the insurance coverage drops. And, I mean, anybody that's got any common sense at all, and I'm starting to wonder where those people are, they ought to just look at Debbie and say, please, sit down, have therapy, and be quiet.
Yeah, Zeb, are you acquainted with this Jewel Steen that is on KLIX?
No.
She's the worst attack dog I've ever seen.
Oh, I do know who you mean, and I've made it a policy. On this program where I will not talk in a derogatory manner about someone else in a localized media, because that doesn't gain anything. I'll let them fall or stand on their own merits, and quite frankly, I'll let it go at that.
Yeah, because sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll get out of range of K-Bar, but clicks will still be there, and I'll listen. I mean, she'll try to overshout you, just like a lot of Democrats do.
Well, she'd have a hard time with me, I'll guarantee you that. I'd love to have her on my program and interview her, but as I've said many times, it's unfortunate, but the Democrats and the left, when pushed and shoved into trying to come on this program, they always have something better to do, like reorganizing their sock drawer.
Yeah, and, she's opposite this Kelly Klein.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Keith, I'm going to let it go at that because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about them. I'm not going to give them any more publicity because I don't appreciate what they do, and we'll let it go at that, okay?
Okay.
All right, buddy, thanks.
See ya.
All right. Bye. Calls welcome, 436-2244-1866, 927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear your remarks, if you would, please. Gina, over at the station, I have a question for you, if you would.
What's that?
What did you do with all of Kennedy's Halloween candy?
It's sitting up on top of the fridge, and I dole it out to him when he's being good, and he has either had his dinner or maybe for a slight afternoon.
You're a good mom.
Yeah.
You're a good mom.
And every once in a while, I take a piece out for myself.
I am an advocate that I think Halloween and I think candy and I think ice cream and other things in moderation are great, great things to have for anybody and everybody, whether you're a little kid or whether you're a person my age, which you said earlier and it offended me. I was an antique. But
you're a hardworking antique.
But I saw a story on the news just briefly. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I guess it was Monday. Where this one family, and they were hugely obese. I mean, the mother was big enough to go over to Afghanistan and take the place of one of the tanks.
Ow!
Yeah, and the dad couldn't even hardly get out of an armchair, and the kids were the same, and they had gone out, and they have a contest. They have a contest every year at Halloween to see who can bring back the most candy for I think there was 3 kids in the family, and each one of these kids, I think they were about 10 or 11 years old, and they were like 300 pounds.
Oh, that's sad.
And then they have a contest to see who can bring back the most candy, and then the mother has a contest at home to see who can eat the most of it at one sitting.
No.
I couldn't believe this story.
Here's the deal, and as any responsible parent will tell you, you need to moderate your child's candy intake, a.k.a. the sugar intake, because they will eventually have the sugar crash, not to mention what it does to the mouth and the teeth. Now, I don't mind my son having candy when he's been good, or, maybe an afternoon snack, or maybe a slight little candy bar after dinner before he takes his tub, but no, no. Because I remember one time, back when I was young, my aunt, who's actually 6 months younger than I am, and because I was living with my grandparents at the time, we went out on Halloween, and we decided that we were going to have a candy-eating contest.
Oh,
and this was like the morning after.
Oh,
so
boy.
it's like Halloween, trick-or-treating was on a Friday, and Saturday morning we decided to have this contest.
Look out.
We got sick.
Oh, boy.
So I don't understand this is the goal. Hey, kids, let's go out and have a contest to see who can get as much candy. Hey, kids, why don't we have a contest? We'll all sit down at the table and see who can gorge ourselves on candy and then
let me take it a step further. Yeah. Let me take it a step further with you for a second. We got just a minute. I got to do a commercial in 1 minute exactly. Okay. But people that go to these smorgasbords, and I'm not going to mention any restaurant name because I'm not going to publicize who they are and give them extra advertisement without paying for it.
Right.
But when they go to these smorgasbord type restaurants, sit there and just watch. The people that are extremely obese go back, and fill their plates to the brim and running over with cakes, pies, pastries, cookies, everything else. And I just wonder where their minds are.
I've seen these type of people, and, there's a part of me that really, really wants to go and just grab a big old plate of leafy greens with just a little dressing and set it in front of them.
Yeah, and they would probably have it discarded somehow into the trash and go back and get another plate full of brownies.
Yeah, it's when you go to these, buffets or the smorgasbord type things, I like to take a little bit of everything, but I don't overfill my plate because I know that, I know what my intake is.
Yeah.
And so I just like to, I want to have a little bit of everything.
I try everything, but, I really love salads. I got to do a commercial to get out of here, but I will tell you this. I am a spinach lover. I love spinach. You like it?
Oh, love it.
All right.
Raw spinach, I'll eat it. Cooked spinach, no way.
Next week, we're going to have National Zeb and Gina Spinach Day.
Okay.
All right. Hey, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They have got the best in tires for your winter traction tires to make sure you get through all the snow, the ice, and the muck and everything else. Yes, sirree, Bob. Check them out today. They got the winter traction tires for your light trucks and SUVs starting at just $99.99, pinned for studs and ready to get you through. And also all your passenger car tires, the Observe tire, premium studded tire alternative. Oh, my, the best in batteries. Oh, my, the best in all the tire chains and all the front end alignments and the brake service, the best in brake service, always with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dan on Blue Lakes, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin Falls, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. Going to be back with Doug Johnson from Colorado at 9:06. Don't go away. I'll be back in 6. Oh, boy. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday, November 6th. Drawing closer and closer to Thanksgiving. Yes, sirree, Bob. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations getting you prepared for winter driving. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And, of course, our great friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
Western Waste Services always at your disposal, and the other day I was talking about dumpsters in various sizes, and Deanne said, well, why don't we bring a dumpster right here in your office? It's pitch and throw time! No, I said, wait a minute. I got a lot of this stuff that is absolutely important. I can't throw it away. But you know what? If you're cleaning out your garage or whatever, you can get the dumpsters in various sizes and fill them up, and they'll come get them. Western Waste Services, of course, get on the route service and have your garbage gone. It's out of there. They do a great job. 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Also, folks, I want to remind you about some dear friends of ours, and that happens to be Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Locally owned and operated, Joel Heward, the owner-manager. And believe me, when the passing of a loved one, it is such a difficult time. You know, there's such a minimal amount of time to get everything done, and you don't know whether to dot the I's, cross the T's. Well, please let them help. If you'll go in and sit down with them, they can give you all the information on pre-planning funerals to help alleviate and eliminate a lot of the stress and worry. Please contact them today, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. It's Wednesday, and that means we jump across to the state of Colorado and say good morning to the author of No Tomorrows and the Horse Sense blog, Mr. Doug Johnson. Good morning.
No, good morning, Zeb. How are things in Idaho this morning?
Oh, not too bad, my dear friend. We're hanging in, hanging on, just like a cat at the end of the door sill. But what are you going to talk to us about this morning?
Oh, it's my choice today. Okay.
I'm going to trick you a little bit. Usually I lead you into something.
Concern is these elections last night, and all the results haven't totally settled in my mind yet. But probably the two that jump out at me that I think all Americans should be paying attention to, even though those of us in the western part of the U.S., it's not even close to us, are, number one, what happened in Virginia with Terry McAuliffe winning, and rather oddly, he was losing and then suddenly won. I am very suspicious of the outcome there. Mm-hmm. But he is a very tied-in, close confidant of the Clintons, and so I'm not really surprised some kind of mysterious win is there.
Let me interrupt you there, Doug.
What stands out for me, Zeb, is what happened in Mayor with de Blasio, in New York with the mayor. De Blasio winning. He is an openly Marxist, admitted communist.
Yes.
And he's been elected by a vast majority as a New York City mayor, the biggest city in the country, and that is overwhelming.
I agree with you on every single thing you said, except you eliminated one that I would like to talk about. And that happens to be the big boy back in New Jersey, Chris Christie. Now, I'm going to say this to you, and you probably will look at your telephone and say, what in the world happened to Zeb this morning? Did he fall on his head? I was absolutely hoping that Chris Christie would get beat.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I would agree with you. And I don't know about whether I cared whether he won or lost. I mean, in New Jersey, he's probably about the best that Republicans are going to do at this point. But the fact is, he is just another establishment Republican, and I'm afraid they're looking at him as a possible consideration for the presidential run in 2016. I think he's another bad choice, and I think that's reinforced by Mitt Romney this last weekend on one of the Sunday news shows saying that Chris Christie could save the party.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely the wrong thought. I
do, too. Now, let's jump back up to what you said about Terry McAuliffe. I absolutely applaud your remarks on that. And here's the way I saw that last-minute surge. You can't beat the Clintons. If the Clinton dynasty is behind you, and they really want you to win, the power of the Clintons will prevail. Do you agree or disagree?
I would agree, and the only exception would be 2008, when Hillary suddenly changed her position and backed out of the race, basically, and threw her support behind Barack Obama to get him the nomination. And, the word has it behind the scenes that there was some shenanigans that went on that forced the Clintons to do that. But the Clinton machine is very powerful, and the roots of their machine go so deep and so far and spread so wide that, if people are in there with him. De Blasio is also a Clinton person and very heavily tied in there, too. So you see the entanglement of the Clintons here, and it just makes you wonder what's the plan for 2014 and 16.
When you mentioned de Blasio, I did a little background check on this guy, and I didn't know this, but at age 26, de Blasio went to Nicaragua to help with the Great Big War and help the Sandinistas, the social Sandinistas in their movement in Nicaragua. This guy really is to the far left.
Oh, he absolutely is, and he initially disavowed having a communist background, but once it came out, he actually embraced it and admitted it, as opposed to, say, Obama, who's tried to cover up his ties to Frank Marshall Davis and things like that. He is a committed Marxist. On his honeymoon, he went to Cuba.
Yeah.
Who goes to Cuba on their honeymoon? Besides the fact it's illegal, who goes to Cuba on their honeymoon?
Doug, when you look at the overall picture of the elections yesterday and McAuliffe winning, and I would totally agree with you, came out of left field and ran across and hit third and scampered home, slid in, and the catcher missed the tag. I don't know how he won that thing. I'm a little bit concerned going into 2014. What are your thoughts?
Well, I am, and yet now this week the blog post I wrote was about a different topic. But the one I wrote one over the weekend, actually as a follow-up to one I wrote last week, and both of those were about how really in many ways we are winning. And my point there is not that we can let up. We still have a long way to go. But we, meaning the conservatives, not the Republicans, but the conservatives, and I clearly separate those two because they're not the same, but the conservatives are making a huge impact, and whenever they make an impact, the reaction of the media and the establishment Republicans and the Democrats is one thing, and the reaction of the general public is another. The general public supports them tremendously. Good example is Mike Lee in Utah. He went home this weekend, and he ended up with a 10-minute standing ovation when he showed up. Ted Cruz, a week or so ago, went home to Texas, and he ended up with about an 8-minute standing ovation. The public love these people. They see strong leadership in them. But the establishment, Republicans, the Democrats, and media all lash out at them and criticize them and try and make them look foolish because they are such a threat. And I think that that's a good sign, because when they're getting that upset, you know that these people are having an impact. And so my point I try to make is that this is why we need to keep pushing and pushing hard, because we are having an impact and we need to keep pushing.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to do a commercial break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk to you about another subject that I have to get your answers on, so stay tuned. Don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Of course, the best of insurance protection for you and your family and your business. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. These gentlemen know. Todd Siemens, Dean Cameron, they have absolutely put all their life's work into being accessible and devoted to serving you, so please give them a call. 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You can keep the policy you have, period. You can keep the doctor you're seeing, period. Wait a minute. All of a sudden there's a caveat, and what our lying ears perceived, Obama is telling us we didn't hear after all, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. This is his modus operandi. I mean, he is one to just blatantly lie to your face, and as my wife said to me the other day about it, we were talking, and she commented about how can people possibly believe this? But the point is that Obama and these people believe that if they lie to you long enough and hard enough, you're going to eventually believe it. And sadly, most people will eventually. And what amazes me about this one, Zeb, more than any, if you like your plan, you can keep it, issue, is that there are at least 29 different video situations where they have them on video showing him saying it, and yet he denies he said it. And that kind of a bald-faced lie, I mean, this is where I personally, have to wonder, why aren't American citizens out protesting in the streets? That we have a president who is this blatantly dishonest. No president in the past, none would have gotten away with this.
Doug, wait a minute, stop, because I want to ask you about the use of a word, the terminology of a word. You used it, I counted 4 times already this morning. I used it on yesterday's program numerous times, and I'm going to continue to use it when it is in effect explaining President Obama. I am not ashamed, and it's not out of disrespect because I feel like I'm telling the truth. He is a liar. This statement that we're talking about, when he 29 times told the American public, it might even be more times on some of the more lesser-known stations, local stations, etc., but 29 times on network television, they caught him saying that you can keep your policy, that's fine, period. You can keep your doctor, period. He did not have the caveat that said, what we said was you could keep it if it hasn't changed since the law was passed. There's the lie that they're going to perpetrate to the unknowledgeable and sometimes naive American public. And you know something, Doug? I think they might pull it off.
Well, I'm actually not afraid. I believe they will pull it off. Just as Bill Clinton pulled off his lies, and people kind of looked at it and said, well, it's just the way he is. This president is even worse and more blatant at it. And Zeb, what concerns me is something, you brought up a word you and I have used, and I'm going to come back to it because I think you bring up a really important point. I am sick and tired of people not being willing to call something what it is.
Yep.
This man intentionally has deceived. This is not a misstatement, not when you do it 29 times. This is an intentional deception, and it's a lie. A deception is a lie. And people don't want to use that word. They'll say, well, I don't want to quite say that. Or they'll say, well, it wasn't quite the truth. You know, there's all these different terms for it. But the bottom line is a lie is a lie. And I commend you for using the word, and I think we all should, because I think when we get away from using proper terminology to call something what it is, that's when we start to forget about how heinous the sin is. I guess I'll use that phrase.
Doug, I said back in August, and I'm not trying to toot my horn, I'm just telling you like it is. If it's a fact, it's not bragging. I said back in August that before the end of November of this fall, Barack Hussein Obama would be down in the 30 percentile range for public approval. He is at 39% this morning and falling. I honestly believe, and I said earlier, that I think he will be down around 34, 35 before the end of the month going to December 15th. I think this man is like a rock in water right now, and there's nothing that's going to save his popularity.
You know, that's a really interesting statement, Zeb. I would like to, and in my gut, I don't know, but in my desires, I hope you're right. But you know, he has a way of bouncing back. They call Bill Clinton the Teflon president, and Bill Clinton was nothing compared to this guy. So I'm not sure. Because I think that, you know, if it keeps going down, they will try to do something to bring him back up. He is very good at placing himself in the public's eyes as being outside of the mess in Washington, and if he can pull that off again, and I fear he can, he may bounce back up. Personally, I don't know why he's even the 30th percentile. Personally, I think he should be lower than Congress. I think he should be single digit, but that's my opinion.
You know, Doug, I'm not going to argue with your last statement. As a matter of fact, first hour of the program, I said that I think he could go lower, like 34, 35%, but then I also had a caveat to it in the first hour, and people can listen to the tape. I said that unless another smokescreen is put up in front of the American public, be it like Fast and Furious, Benghazi, the IRS scandal, or whatever, this man is so good at creating another problem to hide the problem that he's in.
Well, absolutely, and what I would expect, because we haven't seen it now for a very short time, but I would expect very soon we're going to, once he get the media back on his side, because even some of the mainstream media has been questioning the Obamacare thing, and it's kind of shaken them in their confidence in him. But once he can get them back on his side, which I'm sure he will, I think that the next thing we're going to see is they're going to start to be talk about all the racists on the right who are attacking him because he's trying to do something good for the country with Obamacare. He's trying to save all these people's insurance and all this other garbage that's a lie. And they're gonna paint it like anybody who's against Obamacare is against the president, which means they're a racist. And I think they're going to play the race card again on this.
You know, and if people would go back, and Doug, I know that you're a student of politics, but if you'll go back to where they started talking about Obamacare and its first ideas and its first ideals, they wanted to see if they couldn't insure an extra 30 to 40 million people that were uninsurable at that time. Now we're hearing from actuaries that are studying Obamacare, studying the effects of the taxation, studying the effects of the cancellations of policies, studying the effect of people giving up and saying, I'm just going to have to try to live life without insurance. The actuaries are coming out and saying when the dust clears, even with Obamacare, there will still be another 30 million people uninsured.
Well, yeah, and I guess I should say, this doesn't surprise me. I think I spent 20 years in the insurance industry and worked my way all the way up to being CEO of a health insurance company, and I walked out in the 90s because I was fed up with the way the industry is going. I had warned the industry. I had warned the CEOs of the companies when I sat on the board of directors of the Insurance Association. I had warned them that we were headed for socialized medicine. It was going to kill the companies, it was going to kill the industry, and it was going to hurt the American public, and they laughed at me. And this is absolutely no surprise to me at all. I got to tell you, I have hoped, ever since I saw it coming many years ago, I have hoped I was wrong. I really want to be wrong on this, but sadly I'm not. And it's very scary because, like everything else with Obama, we see it coming and we say, oh, it's going to be this bad, because we at least can see it's going to be bad, and it even turns out to be worse than even we can imagine. And that's what's really upsetting. We're going to see more people hurt by Obamacare than people even imagine. We haven't even begun to feel it. And what bothers me is you've got a lot of good people out there who, they're just scraping by enough to pay the premiums they have now. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they're finding out they're going to have to pay a lot more money to get coverage that not only costs them more, but has a higher out-of-pockets and stuff that's going to be very hard on them. This is going to do severe damage to people economically.
Doug, you've been in the insurance business, and you've been there, done that type of thing. I brought up the question the other day on my program, and I'd like you to give me an answer on this. Right now, they're trying to get the younger generation to sign up for Obamacare. If the younger generation doesn't sign up, that means the taxation and all the main hit of what this program is going to cost is going to fall on the middle class, and there's also going to be severe cutbacks to the elderly. It's kind of a go-die thing and get out of the way. All that being said, this cost of insurance is escalating so high, how can anybody make a claim on this insurance to get benefits paid back to them? I don't see anything set up for that.
Well, and that's an excellent point, Zeb. The whole system is a mess. And, of course, one of the things that bothers me about this whole thing, the Obamacare's website hasn't worked and all this stuff. And nobody has suggested, because it's forbidden with the Obama administration, they hate the insurance industry, but the insurance industry has done this for decades very successfully. Why didn't they just go to the insurance industry and say, we want to, find out what systems you're using, or better yet, just let the industry process the thing, because they're already set up to do so. But you see, Obama's plan is to destroy the industry and replace it with a single-payer healthcare system. Yeah. So he doesn't want to take any advice from them. But sadly, this did not have to happen. None of this had to happen. This could have been a very smooth transition. It still would have been terrible financially, but it could have been a smooth transition technologically, and it hasn't been.
Okay, which brings me to the last point that I talked about last hour, CGI. And there's a lot of camaraderie and under-the-table grafting going on with CGI in this government, especially with Michelle Obama and her old friend with CGI. They have made such a mess out of the Internet services of trying to sign up, and then I learned last night that this same company has been awarded 5 more government contracts. My goodness, you'd think they'd get the door, get the axe, and get fired.
Well, as we know, in Washington, things aren't about your ability to do something. It's about who you know. And given this administration, you and I both know, Zeb, but I'm sure your listeners know, that nobody will challenge this, because this is, if President Obama is untouchable, Michelle is totally untouchable. Nobody's going to go near that for fear of being accused of being racist. And there's a couple of people in Congress who might investigate something, but sadly, very sadly, this doesn't surprise me, because the incompetence persists, because somebody knows somebody, and it's all, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. The corruption in Washington is so out of control, and this is why I'm to the point where I'm ready to throw virtually all of them out. I think we have such a disaster going on there.
I can't argue that point, but I want to bring up one more point. I got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Kathleen Sebelius. I mean, come on, Doug. Any employee that has botched up a job as bad as she has, she's testifying before the Senate again today. It's a very important hearing, and this woman and the underlings under her should all be given the gate and fired, and I doubt that Obama's even going to think twice about removing her from the HHS head. What are your thoughts?
Well, in his view, she is a loyal soldier, and so he won't remove her unless he has to protect himself, and then she'll fall on her sword for that. But she's another one like Janet Napolitano, totally incompetent, but there was never any talk of getting rid of her. That's what Kathleen Sebelius is, and I will share one thing with you, at least give you hopefully a little chuckle before we're done here. I shared it with Gina just before I got on with you. I saw this morning somebody sent me a little picture and a caption that a Tennessee senator gave Kathleen Sebelius the book Websites for Dummies to try and help her out. And I thought it was quite humorous. So that gave me my chuckle today in the midst of all this mess.
I've got a picture of that, as a matter of fact, with her standing there in a crowd of people looking down at the book cover like, whoa, what is this? I love it. Doug, I honestly appreciate your call in every week. You're a godsend and very knowledgeable, a great author with the book No Tomorrows and, of course, the blog, Horse Sense. God bless Doug Johnson, and have a great week, and we'll look forward to next Wednesday.
Sounds great, Zeb. I'll look forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Thank you. Very, very nice man from Colorado, Doug Johnson, and he appears on radio programs all over the United States. Really appreciate him. Hey, don't forget Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-1459, and their tagline is, working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. And they do. Gentle Ben and the crew putting up those atrium windows in your home that can increase the energy efficiency of your home by at least 2 to 3 times. Holy cow, check it out today, the atrium windows at Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. Some really, really nice people. And speaking of nice people, that leads me up to our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Now, I don't know if you've heard me talking about it. You should, because I've mentioned it many, many times. The Flex Steel Furniture, America's seating specialist, they have their furniture back on the floor at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Oh my. Quality furniture, comfortable furniture, beautiful furniture, just for you and your surroundings and your family. So check it out today. Flex Steel Furniture at, of course, Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. And when I mention Floors and More, I mean the carpeting, the floor coverings, everything for the beautification and the comfort of your home. 459 Overland in Burley, Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. You know, in just a moment, we are going to be going to Jeff Poole with our Scows CarQuest Center program. Stand by for that. I want to remind you to send me a short paragraph about what Thanksgiving means to you. What does Thanksgiving mean to you? I mean, what does it mean? Really heartfelt. And send it to me, to my email, zeb@theranch@hotmail.com. zeb@theranch@hotmail.com. And we're going to draw 4 of the top letters, the top paragraphs, and those people will win a turkey. Compliments of Zeb at the Ranch, Smith's Food King, Ramsey's Heating and Electric, and Valleywide Home and Ranch. So, get those to me, like, right now. Hurry up and send them in. What Thanksgiving means to you, okay? Don't forget our friends at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. The number to call, 436-4771. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 9 to 6, closed on Sunday and Monday. Oh, yeah. People are seeing the snow up on the hills, and they're going, got to get a snow machine, got to get a snow machine. Well, they've got all the new snow machines over there at Let's Ride. You better believe it, the best in snowmobiles. They've got all the ATVs, the new ones for 2014. And you talk about all the accessories. Great gift-giving ideas over there. Absolutely. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Well, right now, it's time for In the Driver's Seat. Rum Rum, presented by Scows CarQuest Centers in Rupert, Burley, and Hayburn, and co-hosted by the answer man. I've got a lot of respect for this man's knowledge, Jeff Poole. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
I am fantastic. You know, I would imagine at this time of the year where it's getting colder and the threat of snow and ice and all this kind of thing, Scows, they've really laid out everything at all 3 stores for winter driving safety and convenience. Have you not?
We've tried to, for sure, yes.
Well, now, I'm going to ask you some questions, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the 3 service centers. And I've had some questions called into me, and some of these are pretty doggone good. This first caller writes in a letter, and I'm trying to read the writing here. It says, should tires be inflated more or deflated a little bit for wintertime driving?
You know, that's a good question. I wouldn't overinflate them. You know, a lot of people do underinflate, but I would just say, you know, your recommended tire pressure there is best. You know, a lot of guys air down for traction purposes, but I don't think that really applies as well in the snow. So I would just do your recommended tire pressures.
Okay. And how often in the wintertime, and this is another part of the question, I just found it later on down here in his note, how often during the wintertime should a person check the air on their tires? Because does the cold air and standing on the cold ground or the cement, does that kind of decrease tire pressure?
It greatly does, actually. You know, that's something that should be checked more often for sure in the winter. You know, with the changing temperatures and whatnot, it definitely the air shrinks in the tire per se, and you lose pressure. And if you watch NASCAR per se, they go around the track and they increase pressure as they go because of the heat. So same goes for the cold. I guess you're going to lose pressure.
Okay. Now, the next question that came in is basically a statement for you folks over at SCOWS, where every detail matters. There should be a school on wintertime driving and wintertime hazards. Would SCOWS consider putting on a driver's school?
Oh, that's an interesting question. We offer a lot of different training to customers, and we've never really done one, say, for the general public, but that would be an interesting thing we could put together in these classes. We usually have, some OEM-type reps come in and help us with those, and that is a good idea because a lot of people, have a hard time in the winter.
Yeah, I can see, elaborate on this a little bit. I can see where if, we've got snow on the ground and maybe we could get an empty parking lot or something and you could teach people how to steer into a skid or something like that, or show them what to have in their trunk for protection for wintertime driving. That's not a bad question. At first I kind of scoffed at it, but it's a pretty good question.
Well, like you say, for sure, there's a lot of people who've never even drove in the snow. You got to consider that as well, and, it's pretty easy. We've all had close calls in wintertime driving.
Absolutely. Here's another question, the last one, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about batteries. This question, and this one's kind of a real safety question. Is it wise to carry a filled 5-gallon gas can in the trunk of my car for wintertime driving?
That's a good one. I wish I had a 5-gallon can of gas with me the other day because I actually ran out of gas in a car. The gas gauge didn't work. But I think that is probably, I don't know, that's not real safe. Unless you have some way, unless you had it in like a marine-type container, an all-metal container with a screw-on lid, I don't know if I would do it in a 5-gallon plastic can. If, you hit a hard bump, it spills, you wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. You're going to fumigate the car. You're right back by the exhaust. That's kind of a recipe for disaster, possibly.
Okay.
If you did that, I would put it in a marine-style gas tank that's rated for that type of abuse, if you will.
And I can see the point of the question because myself and you just admitted you did it too. In the wintertime, boy, there's nothing worse than to have that vehicle not be able to run because of the heater and everything else if you're stranded someplace. And it would be nice to have that extra 5 gallons with you to make sure you don't have that happen.
Exactly.
Okay. Jeff, what about batteries? I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about battery technology. Are there great big innovations going on with batteries to make them last longer and do more?
Well, there really is. From what I'm understanding, by 2016, every OEM manufacturer, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Toyota, all the names are going to be required to run what they call an AGM battery or a absorbent glass mat. Basically, that's a little different animal. It's not a lead acid battery like we're all accustomed to. I'll kind of explain that. Just as it implies, you have lead platelets in there and acid, and that's your conventional battery. This AGM is exactly what it states. It's an absorbent glass mat. So with this technology, you gain power, you gain cranking amps, and you also gain reserve. This isn't your standard battery. It has no acid, so it can actually be mounted in upside down virtually.
Oh my!
And the way they're putting batteries in cars now, they're some of them are under seats. Some of them are inboard, exterior. They're in fenders. They're kind of all in weird places. And as these vehicles are getting newer, it seems like they're cramming for more space. And this battery technology has to follow. And the absorbent glass mat also doesn't fume, which causes your corrosion.
When you talk about batteries in wintertime driving, I'm probably the worst offender of this. I very seldom can think in the past where I've gone in prior to the cold days of winter and said, hey, check my battery. And then all of a sudden I turn the key some night in Rawlins, Wyoming, and there I'm going to sit.
Yeah, and that's kind of the other thing. I mentioned the absorbent glass mat's really a technology ahead of the lead acid battery due to the fact that it's kind of a dual-purpose battery. everybody wants these big cranking amps in their car, but what they don't think about is that's great for starting it. But what about reserve? Mm-hmm. The absorbent glass mat battery actually can give you reserve capacity, and they're good for like 100, let's say an average, what we call a industry standard Group 24 battery, you get about 120 to 140 minute reserve capacity. So basically, let's say you leave your lights on, or you're stuck or something, you're going to get a lot more pull out of that battery. It's designed to pull for a long time without the car running. So these guys with big stereo systems and whatnot, any place, police cars, everybody's kind of going to this just because of that long pull, if you will.
I see. Now, Jeff, you bring up an interesting point, and this is a question from me, not a listener. But when your battery goes dead, do you have to be careful who comes by with a set of jumper cables and jumps the pickup or the car? Do you have to really make sure the batteries are matched up power-wise?
Well, you definitely want to be careful how you're hooking them. A lot of these cars are not wanting you to hook directly to the battery anymore. There's lots of reasons for that. The electronics in cars are getting so sensitive that, there's jump posts and whatnot on a lot of these vehicles now.
Mm-hmm.
The power rating of the battery really is not a factor, but it's more so where you're hooking it. And with that being said, I mentioned the electronics in cars. Let's say around 2003, 2004 and up, pretty much all your makes, if you change a battery out as a do-it-yourselfer, you better have a battery saver plugged into your cigarette lighter. That's a direct link to your computer.
Oh.
And it will keep the computer alive. These computers will shut off, and we've had it in our own shop before, where we changed the battery and we went to start the car and it wouldn't start.
Oh my goodness! I never thought about that. So say that again about what you need to do if you're changing a battery on your own.
Pretty much all these new vehicles, if you're doing it on your own, you want to use a power saver, and it's just basically a 9-volt battery, plugs into your cigarette lighter, and you're safe now to change your battery there. Like I say, the computer will lose memory. There's so many different computers on cars now, and they have to sustain power. They have memory power. If not, they go to sleep. You go to crank the vehicle, it may not come back on.
Oh my goodness! You've almost got to virtually be a rocket scientist to change a battery.
Well, it's getting extreme, and like I say, your savior though it's a small, $7 part. Really anybody that's a do-it-yourselfer, that needs to be in your toolbox.
Whether it's batteries or whether we're talking jumper cables or whatever, you've got all the heat, you've got all the stable for the engines, you've got everything at all three of the Scows locations. Now, I want you to talk a little bit about each one. Start, first of all, with the one over in Rupert at 323 East 8th Street. Tell us, what is the highlight character personality over there at the Rupert store?
Well, basically, we're well-rounded, I guess. You've been in here, Zeb, and seen us going at it. We, got a full-functioning automotive shop and medium and heavy-duty shop. Offer radiator repair here at this location as well. Burley location, we've got a full driveline shop and machine shop. Also offer automotive and industrial paints from BASF. That's kind of their specialty over there. And then our Hebron store, they got a lot cooking over there as well. They've got truck dealership, the tractors, JCB. They specialize over there in suspension and heavy duty parts. And basically, they do custom U-bolts, springs. They kind of have all the heavy duty suspension stuff dialed in pretty close.
Absolutely. Folks, I'm telling you, you're in the driver's seat with the best of auto care, truck parts, and service with Scows CarQuest in Rupert and Burley and Scows Truck Center in Hebron, and the answer man, Jeff Poole, where every detail matters at Scows. Jeff, great program today. Very interesting information. God bless you, man, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, Ed. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I am not a mechanic, and I'm not really a auto or pickup man. I mean, I've been around. My father-in-law was absolutely an outstanding mechanic, and Deanne has all his traits and abilities on knowing what to look for and everything. I don't have that ability. And when I talk to somebody like Jeff, I learn so much on every program. Appreciate that program being sponsored by Scows CarQuest Centers, and we appreciate it. You know what? we had to change our location of Lunch Bunch due to the fact that JB's closed, and we were looking in a panic, and all of a sudden we called over to our friends at Perkins Restaurant, and we said, would you please be our new home? Holy cow, has it been great. Perkins Restaurant and Bakery at 800 North Overland in Burley. At Perkins, they believe in being best buds with your taste buds, and I tell you, great food, fantastic breakfasts, luncheon specials, and then, oh my goodness, a great menu just filled with great things. I love their bakery. Oh my goodness, look at all the pies. Look at all the different pies. Look at all the different muffins. Look at all the different cookies. I'm drooling. You're going to love it. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and that is Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley, 678-1304. I know another lady that likes to go there, too, and that's our dear friend Gina over at the station. You're going to be at Lunch Bunch, I hope, for our Christmas party on December the 5th, aren't you?
I'm planning on it.
Yeah. And really, now you can wear your other costume of being Mrs. Santa Claus.
I don't have that costume. I might have to make one.
Oh, okay. And
or buy one.
Okay. You know, really, we ought to do that. I've got Santa Claus coming. I need a Mrs. Santa Claus. Would you be Mrs. Santa Claus?
I'll be Mrs. Santa Claus.
Got you covered. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
It's time for a weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com. And the weather this hour is brought to you by our friends at Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. And right now, brought to you through Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Interesting weather pattern. We're pretty much done with the cooler than normal, where we were at temperatures in the 40s from yesterday and the day before. We look for clouds, and it's going to stay that way, pretty much finishing up a storm that's moving to our east. We're going to top out today to a high for about 54. How about that? Nice and comfortable fall weather for today. And it's going to continue to get warm as we work our way toward the weekend. Sun and clouds in the forecast. Winds are not going to be a problem today. So enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
There you go, Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by our friends at Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps through Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Gina, do we have the new Burley mayor on the phone?
We do.
Thank you very much. Well, we say congratulations to the new, brand spanking new Burley mayor, Mr. Merlin Smedley. Merlin, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
How does the term Mayor Smedley fit this morning?
Well, it's kind of a shock, but it's nice. I was able to put my hat in the ring and get the people of Burley to have confidence in me.
You know, Mayor Smedley, let me ask you this. What is the biggest item, if there is one right now in your mind's eye, that you need to accomplish first and foremost as mayor of Burley?
I think the main thing I need to do is get the confidence of the county and the city workers and the people in the city.
Now, when you say get the confidence, do you mean it has been lacking in the past, or there's been people that really haven't got on board with what's been trying to be done? I mean, what are your thoughts about confidence? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think they've had a struggle with trying to have two parties come together, the county and the city, and they're not, they haven't been on a working relationship, it looks to me.
Would you say, Mayor Smedley, that now you hope to be more cohesive and have more open discussion and hopefully a better dialogue with all the people, not only the people that work for the city or the county, but also the citizens?
Yes. I hope people feel free to be able to come in and visit with me and help me learn my job. you know, and just be open to the, you know, the possibility of building Burley up.
Okay.
And bringing them to agreeing, you know, just like across the river. We're, like I said in our forum, we're the Mini-Cassia area. It's not just Cassia County or Minidoka County. It's the Cassia County area, or Mini-Cassia County. And I think we need to work together, because no matter what happens on our side of the river, it affects them, and whatever happens on their side of the river affects us.
Absolutely.
So we've got to work together and get a good working relationship with the people, you know, both counties.
I agree with you, Mayor Smedley, and I think what is indicative of what you're talking about is you have right on the river the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce, a beautiful location with very nice people running it, and that's the kind of a schematic you need for both counties to come together with a camaraderie that'll help the whole area grow. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Now, what are some of the big things that you would like to see accomplished while you are the mayor of Burley?
Say that again. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I said, what are some of the major items that you would like to see accomplished as your tenure as mayor of Burley?
Well, I'd like to see more businesses come in. You know, everybody wants that. No matter what city they're in, they're always looking for new businesses, and they're always looking for things to build their city up. I hope we can. We're in real need of a transfer station here in Burley, in the Cassia County area, to save wear and tear on our vehicles and time. You know, it takes, I don't know, probably 30 minutes or more to drive out to the landfill and dump a truck and then turn around and come back. Is another 30 minutes. So that would save wear and tear and time and get the job done sooner.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this question. I'm almost out of time in this segment, but as it's public knowledge, there has been a lot of public knowledge about the dissension on the Burley City Council. What are you going to do as mayor to try to bring everybody together with a kind of a one-size-fits-all personality and we can all get along?
Well, I see that we got a big change in our city council. We've got two brand new city councilmen. The other three city councilmen is a short timers. They've only been in there for a couple of years. I think if we just all put our heads together and say, look, enough's enough. Let's get down with business. Let's have the business of the city and the county in our best interest.
Absolutely.
Let's not, you know, we can disagree without a fight.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I want to say thank you. I kind of put you on the spot a little bit this morning because you haven't even had a chance to really feel like the mayor, the new mayor, and I appreciate your taking the time to come on our program, but I would extend to you, sir, that any time you want to come on this program and talk about city affairs or what's going on with the council versus what's happening working with the county, please feel free to give my program a call, and we'd love to have you on the air.
All right. I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The new mayor of Burley, Merlin Smedley, and congratulations to him. And as a matter of fact, congratulations to everybody that won their positions. And well done. Job well done. Let's see what else have we got cooking here that I need to remind you of. Oh, yes, let me go over here real quick and tell you, where did it go? The Chadwick Grill. The Chadwick Sports Grill. Today's Wednesday. They've got delicious luncheon specials every Monday through Friday, $5.95. $5.95? Well, that's the best deal in town. And listen to this. They've got a senior citizen dinner special Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. There we go again, $5.95. Boy, you talk about economy. You talk about great food. Today is chicken club lettuce sandwiches, a wrap. It's a wrap, a chicken club lettuce wrap with cottage cheese and rice, pilaf, or a choice of French fries or tater tots or super salad. Whoa, that's going to be good eating. I think that sounds good. At the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley, you stop in because your friends will be there. Okay? Gina Jameson, quarterback of the team over at our main studios. Busy time of the year. Basketball games are about ready to start up, and we've got Thanksgiving and Christmas. My goodness sakes, no time, no rest for the wicked, but we're also planning on something else, and that is having a mobile Christmas singing corral.
I'm loving this, and the more we're getting this put together, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And Keith Ramsey, you're going to have to teach me how to sing.
We haven't made anything definite yet. We haven't set an exact date yet, but here's what we're working on. Most corrals at Christmas time are spelled C-H-O-R-A-L-E-S. This is just the regular old barnyard corral. What I'm trying to do is we're going to mount an old corral on top of a flatbed truck, and we're going to drive all over Burley singing Christmas carols and have a sound system and everything else. And we're going to take anybody on that flatbed that wants to go along. We're just going to have a good old Christmas caroling time.
I think that would be good for the soul and good for the community, and you have a phone call.
All right, we'll take that call. Real quick, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. I went and seen my dentist yesterday, and he talked to his insurance accountant, and he's got to get dental insurance for his family. Ain't that cool?
Oh, my. I was at the dentist yesterday, too.
Yeah, he was talking to me, and he's about to throw his hands in the air. He says his insurance agent is just about to hang it up.
Oh, my.
But anyway, he says it's kind of ironic that he is a good dentist, but he's got to get dental insurance for his family.
He's got to get dental insurance for his family on his existing policy or new policy, and he's a dentist.
That's true.
Oh, my goodness sakes. George, there's so many stories going around of people that right here in our backyard are being affected by Obamacare, and I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yep, and the Republicans are trying to delay this. I kind of hope they don't, because it's going to crash and burn, and all the Democrats are going to be hung out to dry.
While I have you on the phone, and this couldn't happen at a better time, I want to thank this man, George Mass, that's on the phone, very, very dear friend of mine. And next Monday, George, tell everybody what next Monday is and what we're going to do special on this program.
Next Monday is November 11th. It's a day set aside for veterans, commonly known as Veterans Day. I had the privilege of being on there with Zeb in the morning, and then at 11 o'clock we got Sergeant Mort. I think it's Sergeant First Class Stephen Stevenson and Georgia and Michael Greenwell will be on your program.
All right.
Those are four very extremely intelligent patriotic people.
And we are going to be highlighting, of course, our veterans, the people that put their lives on the line for our freedoms and our great red, white, and blue of the United States of America. But the reason I wanted you to mention that is, George, I couldn't do these things without your help. I mean, you have been so instrumental with the POW-MIA movement in Magic Valley and especially over in the Rupert area. And every time I go to this man and ask him for something that's patriotic and something that we need to do, like for my Best of the West breakfast, we had the Sons of Liberty. George, I just thank you. You're just a super friend, and thanks for all your help.
Oh, you're welcome, Zeb. And I may take just a second to remind all veterans, all these schools have programs going on for us. Let's get out there and let those young kids tell us thank you.
Absolutely. George, God bless you, man. And would you do me a favor and call me after the program, maybe about 12 o'clock or a little afternoon, so that I can take the call? I need to ask you a question, okay?
All right, sir, will do.
Thanks, George. God bless. Take care. Well, we are going to let the big boys from ABC News come in and kind of destroy everything we put together for the last hour. Now, coming up next hour, we're going to talk to Media Research Center Dan Gaynor. And he's going to be talking to us about how there have been substantial attacks on businesses that are very, very pro-traditional marriage. And the gays and the lesbians have been after these businesses, attacking these businesses, and we're going to be talking to Dan about what we can do to fight back against this very sinister and sleazy lifestyle. Then at 10:30 this morning, we're going to have Christine Harbin Hansen on the phone, and we're going to be talking about the idiocy, the incompetency, and the waste of money through wind power. So don't miss this. It's going to be very interesting. I'll be back in 6. Welcome back. Howdy. How you doing? Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Lush Swamp Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with our great friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Well, we have with us from the Media Research Center back on the far East Coast, Mr. Dan Gaynor. Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. I understand that you're doing this, I thought, from the comforts of your home, and I can just envision you laying there kind of horizontal in your lazy boy, enjoying kind of a cool beverage, enjoying a nice day.
Well, it is a nice day, and yes, I am doing it from the comforts of home, but I already had the comforts of a dental appointment today, so you got to balance them out.
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to share this with you. I had to go to the dentist yesterday, and I would rather sit down and have my toenails plucked out with a really kind of a dull scissors than I would go to the dentist. I don't like that.
Oh, well, you have a bad dentist. I, however, have a good dentist, and I've been seeing my dentist for more than 25 years, and I live in fear that he'll one day retire.
Okay. Dan, what is this about a story that I've wanted to have you on and talk about? The media, the ABCs, CBSs, NBCs, etc., they will not talk about or cover a story about businesses like mine that are attacked for pro-traditional marriage beliefs. They believe in marriage between a man and a woman, and yet they're being attacked and nobody's covering this. What's going on?
Well, I mean, this is really an important issue right now because Congress is reviewing what's called ENDA, the Employer Non-Discrimination Act, and that would basically make it illegal for employers to make any decisions based on sexual preferences or gender or anything like that. Now, that sounds, if you're a lefty or even a moderate, that might sound good if you're not really thinking about what the impact is. So here, we're already seeing the impact on businesses that take a traditional approach to marriage and to beliefs, and watching them get skewered not just by the left or not even just by the media, but literally by our own government. A New Mexico photographer was fined, ended up costing like $6,000, something like that, to take a case to the New Mexican Supreme Court because the photographer didn't want to be party to a gay commitment ceremony.
Well, yeah, but the thing is...
Other cases all around the country where businesses don't want to, bakeries don't want to bake cakes for gay weddings.
Yeah.
Companies don't want to be involved in gay marriages here or there. And a lot of it is lefty attacks and media attacks, but the scariest part is it's not just the two of them. They are doing the work of the government. And when you give the government more power to do more work, they are going to basically tell you that a non-existent constitutional right, the right to gay marriage, it's something not in the Constitution, clearly that's inarguable, that can somehow trump your freedom of religion.
Yeah, Dan, right there, though, why not reverse discrimination? Why not what's been traditional thinking for thousands of years about a man and a woman in marriage? Why not have the traditional thinking that, according to biblical prophecy and 27 different verses in the Bible, that homosexuality is wrong, it's an abhorrent sin? Whatever happened to our right, our freedom, our opinion, and the Bible's opinion? How come that got turned upside down?
Well, I mean, because they don't care about the Constitution. Literally, because right now, while we're talking, there's another case up in Supreme Court about prayer in public places. And the Washington Post did a story the other day where they cited the Constitution. And in doing so, they edited it. So the First Amendment, for people who don't remember this is what this all comes down to. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, what the Washington Post did was cut out the or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, which is the real major point. If you are a believer in traditional marriage, you have a right to exercise that. The government doesn't have a right to say, you've got to bake a cake for a gay wedding. You don't have to rent your hall out for a gay marriage. So here's where things go if the government gets more hands on it. And this is where it's kind of going right now anyhow. And that is, if you're a business and don't want to participate in any sort of gay marriage, gay commitment, or anything else, an atheist ceremony, a satanic ceremony, you won't be able to say no. They take away your ability to say no. At the same time, if you're even a church and you rent out your hall for events, well, if you are, let's say, a Catholic church, that gay marriage goes against your faith. If you rent out that hall as a public use facility, you will have to rent it to gay marriages. And I can guarantee you, gays will be coming out of the woodwork to marry at your church just to rub your nose in it.
Dan, if they're going to start censoring and eliminating what they consider to be words that might infringe on what they want to push forward, like you said, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right to people to peaceably assemble, what then? Is there no difference with what Obama has done in the last couple of days with his lie about Obamacare? He said 29 times, at least 29 times, that if you liked your insurance, you could keep it. If you liked your doctor, you could keep him. Now they're coming out and saying what we said was you could keep it if it hasn't changed since the law was passed. It's this lying, this twisting, and this turning. Is that what these people are doing also with the Constitution on gay marriage?
Oh, well, absolutely. They're trying to interpret things into the Constitution that not only are not there, but that the Founding Fathers would have never believed were there. And, then what they want to do is delete things that are there. The left, we have moved in our lifetime from being a pro-Judeo-Christian nation to being an anti. Where people who want to practice their faith in public, people who want to pray. We just had New Jersey try to ban Christmas music from Christmas events. Now, they reversed themselves, but they reversed themselves this year. Doesn't mean they'll reverse themselves next year. We've watched the Salvation Army be harassed away from stores. We've watched any sort of belief in the public square being taken away by, lunatics like the ACLU. Oh, you have the Ten Commandments somewhere out in the public square? Oh, you can't have that. You have a cross that's been up on a location out west for decades. Oh, you can't have that. Oh, and you win in court. Oh, we'll still tear it down, and that's what happened to the cross.
Dan, when you look at this overall situation as to what's happening in this country, my obvious question is, I'm heavily involved with my church and activities to persevere and keep promoting Christianity, but what can other people do? We're seeing the liberalization of the Supreme Court with possible appointments that will maybe even turn away from Christmas and maybe revoke the status of a federal holiday. These things really scare me. What can we do?
Well, you can't be passive. That means you need to fight every battle. And that means if it's a battle in your local community, you got to fight it. If they're going to say, well, we're not going to do Christmas, we're not going to do a Christmas pageant this year, we're going to do a holiday pageant, or we're not going to sing Christmas songs in school, we're going to sing holiday songs, we're going to ban Christmas from your school. You've not only got to fight that in your school, then you've got to let people know nationally that's going on. Because the only way to fight this, really, not to cite a German for tactical advice, but he was a very talented general, and that's Erwin Rommel. His idea for fighting the United States and the Allies when we invaded, his initial idea was to fight us on the beaches, to not let us get inland, to fight, to literally attack the troops right at the water's edge. And that means, in a political strategy, that means you have to fight every battle. You have to fight every battle like it means something. Because trust me, that's what the left is doing. They're fighting every battle because they know if they win, in Grants Pass, Oregon, they'll fight here. They win in Oakland, Maryland, they'll fight, they want to win each little tiny small town battle, because from those, then they will build a foundation for winning bigger battles.
Dan, this is a very simplistic question, and I hope you'll understand. I'm not trying to be naive, but why? Why is the left so afraid of Christianity?
Well, I mean, they're in the final analysis, not only are they anti-religious, but they're statists. And by that, I mean the only power they recognize that they believe in is the state. So every other power, the power of business, one of the reasons why they're so anti-business is because business represents a separate power structure from the government. One of the reasons why they're anti-faith is because faith particularly represents a counter-power structure. You look at whether it was the Soviet Union or Red China or North Korea or Cuba or Venezuela, or go down the line of the bad countries you didn't want to be part of. And in every case, what they did was the same. They went after business. They went after church. And in the final analysis, the last thing they go after is family. Because the last thing people cling to is family. But so they've already been doing their war on family. They've been gradually boosting out of wedlock births by making it easy for people to do that. They promote basically a panoply of immorality through Hollywood, through TV and movie entertainment, and through music. They encourage the worst behavior and downplay and undercut and attack the best behavior.
When you look at these bakeries with the baking of maybe a wedding cake, or you look at these photographers and you look at all the people that have had their businesses literally stripped to the bone because they had certain religious beliefs that they didn't want to promote the gay and lesbian lifestyle, why can't they countersue and say that their rights have been taken away?
Well, they can, but then then what's happening is you're taking a right that you have, that is in the Constitution. You're allowing some very likely liberal judge somewhere to determine whether that exists. You're letting somebody else tell you what is clearly written in the Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion. Our founding fathers had come from a country where there was clearly one faith. Not even Protestantism, just one faith. But there's the other piece. Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Mm-hmm. And that means if your belief system says, hey, I am not going to go photograph a satanic orgy because that goes against my faith, they can't shut down your business.
So how do we stress the fact that the Constitution is not null and void, the Constitution hasn't been abridged by the leftists? How do we go about making and maintaining the real meaning and the actual verbiage of the First Amendment and throw it in their face?
Well, I mean, one of the ways certainly is you have to be active politically. You have to make sure your politicians know where you stand. You have to make sure that those who push opposite against this, you get immediate pushback. When you see a student getting in trouble for wearing a cross, when you see somebody praying in public, the case in Supreme Court, we all thought the Supreme Court case right here about prayer was settled 30 years ago. But they're relitigating it because they think they can win. So you've got to make sure you've got to support groups that fight these battles. You can't just by saying support, that means if you've got the money, help them out. If you don't have the money, lend your time, help them out on Twitter or Facebook, write something on your blog, get involved, write about the people in your community who are attacking faith. If there's an organization out there trying to chase Salvation Army out of a business, write about who's funding that organization. You got to get involved because our nation is being stripped of the things that made it great and good.
Absolutely.
And if we don't do anything about it, that will happen.
Dan, is there
what is the very famous quote? All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
Absolutely. Dan, is there kind of a center of information where people can upgrade their information and their knowledge about what's going on this subject? I mean, some of these stories, whether it's the baker with the wedding cake or the photographer or whatever, where can people find out more about this so they can become better informed as to how to fight these people?
Well, the first place is they should read our story, which is on mrc.org or newsbusters.org. And that's a good place to start. And then there are groups, wonderful groups like Family Research Council, that are fighting these battles. And you got to go to them and be active, because if you're counting on the major media to tell you about this, they will not.
Very well said. Dan, anything else about this story or anything else that comes to mind, especially with Obamacare just looming as the main headline of all the news? Kathleen Sebelius on the Senate Hill this afternoon testifying. Any other final thoughts before I let you go?
Well, I think the final thought is the takeaway from yesterday's election. The Republican Party decided to lose in Virginia. They wanted the Tea Party conservative candidate, Cuccinelli, to lose. So they were happy to help Chris Christie because he was going to win big. But when it came down to Virginia, they gave up quickly, and Cuccinelli ended up losing by about 2%, even though the GOP gave like 1/3 of the support that they had given to the previous race. They wanted him to lose because they want to squash the Tea Party. There's all these little rhino twerps running around in D.C., like this guy Josh Holmes, who's the chief of staff for Mitch McConnell, who are actively engaged in fighting conservatives. We got to fight back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just very upset about that election yesterday, and you brought up some excellent points, as you always do. One of our dear friends to this program, Media Research Center, Dan Gaynor. Dan, take care, enjoy your day at home, and keep the ice pack on your teeth, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, man. God bless.
All right, take care. Dan Gaynor, just absolutely a very, very well-informed individual, and I look forward to having him on the air. I'm going to take just a minute. Gina, get on your microphone for a minute. You always seem to have an opinion on various subjects.
Okay.
Are you there?
I'm here.
I've carried all those stories that he referred to, the photographer in New Mexico and also the other business, the bakery with the cakes and everything. I carried that with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Mm-hmm. But what Dan said is really true. They are taking everything that used to be considered right, righteous, and Christian, and they're destroying it inch by inch, foot by foot, and they don't care who they step on, and we've got to fight back. If I don't believe in certain aspects of their lifestyle, I'm certainly not going to change or alter my beliefs just to do business with those people.
Well, it seems like they're also trying to, like he stated at the beginning of the conversation, they're trying to take out and change certain parts of the Constitution.
Yeah.
They cannot do that at all. And you know what? Remember the old phrase, we reserve the right to refuse service to anybody?
Yeah.
I think that truly needs to stand. If a business does not want to serve a specific clientele, that is their right and that is their choice.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. This is interesting that you and our mind was on the same track there, because I was going to equate that. We reserve the right to, et cetera, refuse anybody of no shirt, no shoes, no service, et cetera, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't that be, and why shouldn't it be, a standard sign, if you will, on the window of any business that they have the right? They have the right as a business owner and a business person to refuse service to anybody that they deem necessary.
They do have that right. And people are just too afraid to exercise that. When I used to, work in the service industry, if I felt that somebody was being a little bit too obnoxious or whatever, hey, you know what, I refuse you service, so please, person, leave the establishment.
Well, you know what he was telling us, Dan Gaynor was telling us, was how the press and the media and the leftists took out the after the comma or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or whatever. They leave those words out, but those are the most important words because they're absolutely abridging the freedoms of you and I and others.
Yeah.
I don't know why this Constitution has been assailed by this Obama administration. I don't know why they have selectively forgotten what it says, but I don't think it's going to get any better, and it's getting worse every day.
I don't think it is going to get any better, and honestly, I think everybody needs to sit down and read the Constitution word for word. Know it, live it, love it. It is the law of our land.
You bring up something interesting there, too. The Constitution, and I've got copies available to anybody that would like to have one. Very, very limited time to sit down, and any adult can discern exactly what it says, what it means, and the value of what it can do for America. And it's such an easy read. I mean, those little pocket condensed sizes fit right into a shirt pocket. Take it along. You can read it easily in less than 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Both the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I mean,
and the
Declaration of Independence. Everything right there in the same synopsized book. I don't understand why there's an excuse not to know.
Well, there is no excuse not to know, and I think that people just need to remind themselves and go back to your schooling, go back to high school, go back to your senior history class where they taught you U.S. government, and you had to learn that Constitution, and you had to learn the Bill of Rights, and you had to know what right was what. And we need to get back to that.
Well, and it's just like hiring people. Yeah. And I'm adamant about this. If somebody comes in, and this has happened to me in my business a couple of years ago when I was looking for some more salespeople, there were people that came in and interviewed for the job that I would not hire to clean my horse stalls.
And yet they were offended by it, huh?
Well, the thing I'm getting at is their pride or their lack of pride in themselves, the lack of pride in their dress, the lack of knowing that if they're going to represent a company, they have to meet certain standards and ideals. And I basically have gone to a one-horse operation, if you will, because I'm not going to be told by the government who I'm going to hire to represent my business. If I don't believe in their lifestyle or their dress, they're damn sure not going to get a job with me.
And we need to hold that same standard to our elected officials, and our elected officials need to hold hard and fast to the Constitution and to the constituents that they serve.
Absolutely. Why don't they just elect you and I, and we can get rid of the whole mess? Yeah.
Amen, brother.
I got to ask you this. You know who Mike Huckabee is?
Yes.
Former Arkansas governor.
Yep.
He made one of the best statements, and I've saved this, and I'm going to put it up on my wall. He said, and this is in regards to all the spying that's going on in our country over our citizens. Mm-hmm. Did you hear his statement? Okay, this is great. Quote, "If we want to keep our nation's secret a secret, then we need to store them where Obama stores his college transcripts and his birth certificate."
Now that is a funny but very true and scary statement.
It's a home run.
It is.
We're going to take a break and send it back over to our main studios. I want to remind you, send me those short paragraphs about what Thanksgiving means to you, and you possibly can win a turkey. That's right. We're going to have 4 turkeys given away thanks to Zeb at the Ranch, Smith's Food King, Ramsey's Heating and Electric, and Valley-Wide Home and Ranch. And send those to my email, zeb@theranch, and then the @ hotmail.com. zeb@theranch@hotmail.com. Get those to us as soon as you can. We'll send it back to our main studios and be back in just a few minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and we're down the home stretch, last half hour on the program this morning. And before we introduce our guest for this half hour, I want to say thanks to some really nice people at the Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply, 515 5th Street on the south side of Rupert. Number to call, 436-5661. They are going to have a big holiday fair on the square, November 16th over in Rupert. 6 direct sales companies are coming together to help your Christmas shopping needs, like Avon and Mary Kay and Thrive Life, Tupperware, JD Premium, and Premier Designs. Holy cow, it's going to be one day right there on the square in Rupert, November 16th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Don't miss it, and then stop in to see our friends at the Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply, 515 5th Street on the south side of the square. Really, really nice people. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now we're going to go to the phone lines, and this lady's been on our show many, many times in the past as a single gal, but now she's married, and we say good morning to Americans for Prosperity Federal Affairs Manager Christine Harbin Hansen. Boy, you got a long name now.
I do, yes. Good morning, Zeb. Great to be with you again.
Well, how's the old married lady?
Oh, I know. It's an exciting life here.
Are you a good cook?
No. My husband wishes I were.
Are you taking?
We order out a lot.
Are you taking lessons though? I mean, you got to learn.
I'm trying. I made some stuffed acorn squash the other day, and he ate it. So I consider that a sign of success.
How long was he in the hospital? I'm kidding. Christine, it's really good to have you on the program because you're going to be talking about a subject that absolutely stirs my blood pressure up about 5 notches, and that is the money, the complete waste of money to the tune of billions of dollars going into wind energy. When are we going to learn this is not going to work?
Well, I'm hopeful that this year is the year. And you're right. We spend the federal government spends $12 billion on handouts for wind energy and every year. The tax credit is on track to expire in less than 2 months. And if they don't do anything, if all Congress has to do is nothing, and this handout will go away.
Yeah, but
unfortunately, every year they always end up extending it.
Okay, but right there, what do we, the American public, have to do? Do we have to get on the phone and call our congressmen and our senators and say, wait a minute, $12 billion with a B dollars a year going down the rat hole, it's not doing any good, this thing has never shown any economic viability. What do we have to do, Christine?
Right, you just got to make some noise, and remind your members of Congress that you didn't, you didn't elect them to make energy less affordable. You didn't elect them. You didn't send them to Washington to raise your tax bills and raise your grocery prices. But by extending these handouts for big wind, that's exactly what Congress is doing. And, compared to other levels of federal spending, $12 billion, unfortunately, doesn't seem like a lot. But this is an easy, low-hanging tax credit that Congress can get away with. Okay,
so since 1993, we have been throwing money at wind energy. It hasn't shown anything as reciprocity in coming back to be economically responsible. Why? I mean, what's the matter with these congressmen and senators? Are they just absolutely have a roper on their neck and they're being led like sheep? What's going on here?
I wonder, too. It's actually, if you can believe it, Zeb, been around since 1992, which means that we've been giving these lavish handouts to this energy technology that can't make it on its own in the marketplace for over 20 years.
What about the wind energy program, the industry itself? I mean, there are cancers on the landscape. You talk about aesthetically ugly. They're the worst. They've destroyed the landscape out here in the West. Right around my area, as a matter of fact, there's literally thousands of them. Why? I mean, they haven't done anything to help the energy program.
Yeah, I wonder that too, Zeb. And you're right to highlight how these wind farms and our and wind energy generally has failed to bring the U.S. any closer to our energy goals. This industry is limped along, aided by this government support, mostly in the form of the production tax credit, which we're talking about, and also at the state level with these green energy purchase mandates that require utilities to actually buy wind energy. These are really just misguided handouts that are just, they're serving the wind industry, and they're not serving taxpayers. They're not making energy any more affordable. and we see that they're not increasing our reliance on wind energy. So this has to change. This has to go.
Christine, where are you from originally? What state?
I'm from Wisconsin originally.
Well, see, you and I both are from Wisconsin. I don't know if you knew that or not. I was born and raised in Fort Atkinson. And where were you born?
I was born in La Crosse, which is very close to Fort Atkinson.
Very well, very, very close, as a matter of fact. Okay, so here we go. You go out to Wisconsin, and you know the rolling hills with the trees, and of course it's a beautiful, beautiful green dairyland state. And then all of a sudden you take the trees away, and you see nothing but acres and acres and acres of these wind farms that absolutely, I would think, the environmentalists would be totally against, but they're backing this idiocy.
You're right, Zeb, and I think that's really one of the more surprising things about this. Groups on the left should really oppose this wind tax credit because it actually turns out to be bad for the environment, and bad in a number of ways. On the one hand, it's bad for bird and bat populations. There's a lot of reports out that show that a lot of rare birds are getting murdered by these wind farms. And then on the other hand, too, it really threatens the reliability of the energy grid, and because when these wind farms, because wind power the wind isn't always blowing. So usually these wind farms have to be built in tandem with traditional coal-fired plants that have to fire up and fire down whenever the wind doesn't blow. And that's really inefficient, and that means that it's not as green as its supporters say.
Right there. What looks like green, the only green to win energy is the money that's going into the pockets of the people that are reaping the harvest off of these cancers on the landscape. Now, when you combine the green energy program, the wind, and the solar, I honestly will step forward and say the American public must be dumber than a doorknob to accept this as reliable energy for the future. It's not going to work.
Well, I think the evidence is out, and certainly the evidence shows that it's not working. But I'm an optimist, and I think the public is starting to wake up. And one reason that a piece of evidence that I have for that is earlier this week, Americans for Prosperity released a coalition letter of over 100 organizations. This is a nationwide coalition letter of groups on the left and the right that are united in their opposition to wind subsidies. In this letter, they call on Congress to let this handout for the wind industry finally expire at the end of the year as scheduled. And that shows that people are starting to wake up. Hopefully people will begin to call their Congress people and let them know that they oppose these handouts.
Christine, best case scenario, if the tax credits are gone and the wind energy has to stand on its own, it can't, it won't, and it never will succeed. But then we've got another problem. What do we do with all these absolute pillars to stupidity, these wind towers?
Well, I don't know. I think that's the second part. Right now I'm focused on the end of the year, trying to get to clean up our tax code to stop promoting this.
Yeah.
After that, then we can worry about what to do with these wind farms.
What do you think the chances are, honestly, because I don't trust this administration. I don't and never will trust Obama. I think anything under the table or in a backroom meeting will happen. Do you honestly think they'll let this tax credit slip by?
Well, I think it's a tough fight, but I think we're in a better position than we were this past year, and a backroom deal is exactly what happened. One of the things that was slipped into the fiscal cliff deal from this past January was a extension and an expansion of the wind production tax credit. So this year we're hoping that Americans for Prosperity and our coalition partners are working very hard to ensure that that doesn't happen again.
Okay.
We won't see a kind of brinksmanship. We won't see a last-minute deal. But what I'm worried about is with this continuing resolution that's going to start shortly after January. One thing that Congress should not do is to let the tax credit expire only to slip it into a massive continuing resolution 15 days afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully Congress doesn't repeat the same mistakes, but that's why they need to hear from people back in their home district.
Absolutely. Christine, I know you study this and you look at this and it's part of your job every day, but it all comes back to the American taxpayer. If we're going to have this thrown in our face, we'd better stand up and fight, and that's the problem. It's hard to get somebody to stand up anymore and really commit themselves.
I agree. It's important to pay attention, keeping an eye on Washington and making sure that they're not squandering your tax dollars on a favored industry.
If not the solar and the wind, I'm sure that they'll find some other reliable source of wasting our money, won't they?
Oh, hopefully that won't happen, but... yeah, we've seen that time and time again here, but we've seen a lot of tax credits go away, like ethanol. The ethanol industry was more reliant 10 years ago than it is today. Thankfully, due to a lot of work at the grassroots level, Washington wised up and found that ethanol purchase mandates are poor policy, and so they take up less than they do in the past.
Absolutely. Well, listen, knowing that you're from Wisconsin and knowing that you have to be, absolutely must be, a Green Bay Packer fan, you must be just sick at heart as to what happened to Aaron Rodgers last Monday night.
I know. I heard he lost at Lambeau.
Well, yeah, but he broke his collarbone and he's going to be out for an extended period of time, and that could be the season for Green Bay.
Poor news for the Packers.
There you go.
Yeah, we're rooting for them from back here on the East Coast.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can count on her brand new, newly married cookbook to be coming out soon from Americans for Prosperity, Federal Affairs Manager Christine Harbin Hansen. God bless and have a good day.
Thanks, Deb. Always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you much. Bye-bye. I'll tell you what, folks. Go and write a letter. Just write a little note. Just do whatever. Call the office of Crapo and Risch and Simpson and Labrador. Just call them and leave word and say you want the tax credits for wind to go away. Wind energy has been a waste. It's been an economical waste for over 20 years. And to think that we are putting $12 billion, with a B, $12 billion a year into a very stupid energy program that desecrates the landscape absolutely is ridiculous. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Please help me on this. Time for a weather update, and the weather this hour brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here's Michael.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Interesting weather pattern. We're pretty much done with the cooler than normal, where we had temperatures in the 40s from yesterday and the day before. We look for clouds, and it's going to stay that way, pretty much finishing up a storm that's moving to our east. We're going to top out today to a high for about 54. How about that? Nice and comfortable fall weather for today. And it's going to continue to get warm as we work our way toward the weekend. Sun and clouds in the forecast. Winds are not going to be a problem today. So enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
There you go. MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, friends, earlier this morning on the first hour, I mentioned about the absolute sadness that I had regarding a story that Pastor Saeed Abedini is being moved to even a worse prison in Iran. And I just absolutely am sickened about this. I got the word yesterday in an email that this prison is worse than the first one, Evan Prison. It's not even close to that. They say that this is a place where they take the murderers in the area to, and they don't care about the crime. They don't care about the absolute insurrection inside the prison. They don't really care whose life is lost. Once they're in there, it's very hard to get out. And when I heard this, a worse prison, and this man that did nothing wrong other than try to help humanity with the establishment of an orphanage over in his home country of Iran, How sad is this? And Gina, you hadn't had a chance to comment on this, but we've done quite a bit on this program, trying to draw awareness. We had his wife, Nagme, on our program one day with her lawyer, and I'm going to try to contact her and have her back on the air. But, you know, the hard part for an interviewer like myself is to sit there on this end of the microphone and ask a wife questions about her husband when she must be absolutely grief-stricken over knowing that her and her children might never see him again.
Yeah, it's a very, very extremely sad situation, and I wish that our elected officials would do a little bit more. And why was he moved to this different location? Does anybody know?
It almost seems to me, and again, I'm not putting words into the people that are closer to the situation than I am, but it almost seems to me like, and I hate to use these words, it's a death wish for this pastor just to basically get him out of the Iranian officials' hair, and he's gone, and America be damned.
Yeah, and that is... this whole thing is very heartbreaking for me because, you know, he's a father, he's a man of God, and I really don't understand why he's being persecuted like this. It's not, he really is being persecuted for his faith.
He is, and when you take a look at the situation of the Iranian government knew originally that he was going to go over there and start an orphanage. Nothing was done, nothing was said, nothing was held against him, and then all of a sudden overnight he's thrown into this prison. He's beaten and he has severe internal injuries. He's told that he's going to have to serve an 8-year sentence, and now, making it even worse, moved to a prison that is absolutely one of the most horrific prisons on the face of the earth. I don't know what to do. And I sit here and I look at these guys that are in Congress, in the Senate, with their three-piece suits and their wingtip shoes and all their verbiage of appeasement, and it makes me almost want to grab them by the tie and just say, you do something now or else.
They should have done something a long time ago. They're just, I really don't have any faith in anybody that's on Capitol Hill, to include our own elected officials, because I don't think that they're doing enough. They have not done anything.
There's been so many political movies made of people that will go back into the fray on the Potomac, and all of a sudden Jimmy Stewart's movie, you know, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and you have had enough, and you sit there and you tell your colleagues what a bunch of slovenly slobs they are, and they better represent the people. We need somebody in Congress and somebody in the Senate to not be Joe Good Guy, not care about getting along with the people across the aisle, and stand up and say, you lazy, worthless people are doing nothing to promote America.
And that's where it comes down to us as the voters in basically getting rid of every single person that's on the congressional floor.
All right, let's start at the top. Let's go to the Oval Office first.
Well, speaking of impeachment, I mean, come on, really? We need some sort of impeachment. Is anybody going to bring this up?
Well, I asked yesterday on the air. And you didn't get a chance to respond, but really, I'm quite an older gentleman than you, but when you think about it, really in the last 25 years since Ronald Reagan was president, with all the forcibly filthy lifestyles that are being forcibly pushed into our schools, our churches, etc., the gay and transgender lifestyle, and the denigration of Christianity and the denigration of our Constitution, we just talked about it a few minutes ago, and we've got government agencies that are playing like Gestapo, coming in and wrecking private property owners, socialism taught in our schools, and the lazy are being fed by the ambitious. What has gone wrong in this country? Man, we need a broom and a dustpan and clean the whole daggum thing up.
It's called entitlement in Washington, D.C.
I agree with you.
You've got a phone call.
All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. You need to go against our news media and support the Tea Party. You know, they've kind of been lambasting them after this election. I don't think it really affected what they did a whole bunch, other than it's going to hurt them a little bit more. We've got a president that lies about them, and a Congress that lies about them, and a Senate that lies about them. I think we need to support them more, and we need to go after policies that are efficient instead of inefficient. I think the inefficiency within government is just getting to the point is absolutely ludicrous.
Well, you kept saying, no, wait, Jerry, wait a minute. Don't hang up. I want to ask you a question about your verbiage. You said you need to. You said it 3 times.
We need to.
Okay, it should be we need to. We all need to start being the squeaky wheel that demands grease. We all need to. I agree with you, and your points are well taken. But, Jerry, I know you'll call. I know you'll send a letter, but most of the people listening right now will let this go in one ear and out the other and worry more about what they're going to do this weekend than they will thinking about helping perhaps that Pastor Abedini, or perhaps telling Obama that we're sick and tired of his trash with Obamacare, or sick and tired of our congressmen and senators not doing anything. Nobody really shows any caring.
Zeb, you know, I'm going to say something that'll probably shock you. You are right. I normally call in and tell you you're wrong, but I agree with you.
Well, you're a dear friend, Jerry. Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. God bless.
You have a wonderful day, and you keep doing what you're doing because we need you.
I'm not going to quit, Jerry. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I just absolutely have had enough, and I mean this. When I talk to people privately, I say the same things. I am fed up with this government, the way it's so slipshod. Nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to honor the Constitution. Nobody seems to value what we lived and died for hundreds of years ago with our forefathers. Nobody seems to care anymore. It's all me, and I'm fed up with it. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Is that me?
I better be, because you're the only one I'm talking to.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I wish we could get a president like Ronald Reagan. You recall when President Carter let them 240-some people be in prison over there in Iran?
That's right.
Look what happened when Reagan come in. He wanted them then, they got him.
Al, this is no different than Pastor Abedini being in a jail cell. This is no different than the mess in the Middle East. This is no different than Obamacare. The American public has the power with those first 3 words of the Constitution, we the people, and these other people can be damned. We are the people that are in power. We are the people that are in charge. We are the people that put these people to work for us, and we have the power right now to say enough is enough, but we don't use it.
That's what I said. Let's get that Kerry. This falls under his category. He's in there to do this kind of stuff. Do your job, Kerry. Get that man out of there and anybody else with American citizens.
Amen.
Clear enough?
We need more of you, Al. Thanks much, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. Have a good day. Thank you much. I know I'm on a soapbox here, but I think it's a soapbox that I'm proud to stand on, because I'll revert back to what I said last night when I saw Dr. Ben Carson. I have a lot of respect for this man, and he said under the Obama administration and under President Obama himself, this is not the America as it should be. It's not. Let's give a lot of praise to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and service is the key word. Right now, for the wintertime driving, they've got all the tires that you need to look at and put on your vehicle for safe, sane wintertime driving. Well, let's just take a look at some of those. How about for your light truck and SUV? Don't forget Pin for Studs, winter traction tire, ready to go. And then, of course, they've got the Eclipse tire, all-season reliability, long-lasting tread, 70,000-mile warranty. They've got all the tires. They've got all the shocks and struts, the front-end alignments, the tire chains, the batteries, everything. And I'm going to also tell you, they have got the best in brake service. Boy, I mean, over 30 years experience with professionally trained technicians. All of this and much more at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Get involved, folks. Please get involved. Be the squeaky wheel. Make some noise. Don't worry about what your neighbors are going to think. Good heavens, if I worried about what my friends thought of me, I wouldn't get anything done. Just get up and do something. Tomorrow on the program, of course, Thursday, we've got a whole bunch of things to take care of. The Chamber of Commerce, and, of course, we've got Dog Nation, and we've got the lovely Rita Ramsey coming on, and Starving to Death, and Cassia County School Days, along with some other very special guests. So don't miss tomorrow, Thursday, as it'll be the last day of the week for Zeb at the Ranch. Once again, because we're drawing close to this first week's end, we want to remind you, I want a whole bunch of those Thanksgiving short little paragraphs sent to me. What Thanksgiving means to you. Just write a little paragraph and talk about your family, or talk about what the holiday represents for you and the meaning and everything. And we're going to pick out 4 of the best, and we're going to give away some turkeys, some Thanksgiving turkeys, compliments of Zeb at the Ranch, Smith's Food King, Ramsey Heating and Electric, and Valley Wide Home and Ranch. So get those sent to me in the next day or so, please, at Zeb at the Ranch, ZEBATTHERANCH, and then the @ hotmail.com. Zeb at the Ranch at hotmail.com, and we'll have the judging for the 4 turkey winners coming up later on in the month of November, prior to Thanksgiving. Okay, told you what's going to be on tomorrow. And Gina, what's cooking over at K-Bar for this weekend? What do you got? Football games going on?
No, actually, we're done with football.
Done.
We are keeping track of a couple other local teams, but pretty much K-Bar and KFTA, we are done with football for the season. Basketball season starts up at the end of the month.
Boy, and I can tell you from being formerly on your side of the desk, basketball season can be busy.
Basketball, honestly, comparative to the two, football and basketball is way busier. Too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, well, listen, God bless. Have a good day. Tomorrow we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch, the way things were, the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow.